If you're passionate about understanding the real stories behind South African social issues, then you're in the right place. We dive deep into the topics that matter. So, if that sounds like your kind of content, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss our weekly explorations. It is expected that everyone knows about the 10 Rand increase. Of course, why not? But before we dive into today's story, here's a quick update many may be asking about: the SASSA 2025 payment dates. The pattern remains the same. Older persons' grants are paid on the 2nd of each month, disability grants follow on the 3rd, and children's grants are paid on the 4th. If any of these dates fall on a weekend or public holiday, payments may be adjusted to the next working day. So yes, your payments are still on schedule, but the real question this month isn't when your grant will come, it's how much. Because the new R10 Rand increase has left many South Africans wondering, is this a lifeline or an insult? When SASSA announced that all social grants would increase by just R10 Rand, the reaction was instant and loud. For some, disbelief. For others, frustration. And for many, a kind of tired laughter that hides real pain. I've worked in a brokerage for 13 years paying taxes. When I retired, I received R370. This is a joke. Please don't play with us like we're toys. That was someone's reaction on knowing about the increase. And it cuts deep, doesn't it? It's not just the number, it's what it represents. After months of rising food prices, electricity hikes, and municipal rates climbing higher, this increase feels less like help and more like a whisper against a storm. Another reaction puts a fine point on it. You are taking us for fools, thinking we must be happy for a 10 Rand increase when food, groceries, water, and electricity are so expensive. Government officials live like kings, while citizens are below the breadline. So let's get practical. Let's move beyond the abstract and into the reality of the South African economy. What can 10 Rand actually buy in today's South Africa? Maybe half a loaf of the cheapest bread, a single small packet of sweets, a few sips of taxi fare, but that's about it. You certainly can't buy a liter of milk. You can't buy a bag of potatoes. You can't even cover the cost of a single standard loaf. It is, by every measurable standard, a paltry sum. Yet behind this small figure lies a big system, one stretched thin between limited budgets and growing national need. Officials pointed budget constraints. And from a purely accounting perspective, they have a point. The social grant system supports over 18 million South Africans. When you multiply R10 by 18 million beneficiaries, you're looking at an additional 180 million Rand every single month. Over a year, that's over 2 billion Rand. In a constrained fiscus, that is a significant line item. The argument from National Treasury is that they are doing what they can with limited resources, trying to balance many competing needs: infrastructure, education, healthcare, all while managing national debt. But here's the critical disconnect. When inflation is running at around 5 to 6%, that R10 Rand doesn't even begin to cover the cost of living increase for the average grant recipient. It's a mathematical decision, but it's people who feel it most. And the feeling for many is one of profound disrespect. The sentiment was captured perfectly in one reaction. Oh, only 10 Rand. Kwaze kuthaldwa ngathi. For our non-isiZulu-speaking viewers, this translates roughly to, oh, only 10 Rand. They are truly playing with us. It's more than frustration. It's a sense of being unseen, of being treated as if your struggle is trivial, your intelligence an afterthought. It's the feeling that the very institution meant to be your safety net is so out of touch with your daily reality that it believes 10 Rand is a meaningful intervention. This reaction can give a hint of what the answer is for many. He can keep it and put it where the sun don't shine. Across communities, from Cape Town to Limpopo, the message is the same. 10 Rand feels like a slap in the face. People aren't angry just because it's small. They're angry because it feels careless. Because for many, this grant is not disposable income. It is the absolute bedrock of their survival. It is the difference between eating or going to bed hungry, between having a roof over their heads or not. To treat that reality with what is perceived as a token gesture strikes at the heart of human dignity. Community leaders and activists say it's not just about money, it's about dignity. When a nation's poorest and most vulnerable are told, either explicitly or implicitly, that 10 Rand is all that can be done to alleviate their profound struggle, it says something profound about national priorities. It creates a chasm of trust between the citizen and the state. The message received is, your struggle is not our primary concern. This is where the insult argument finds its strongest footing. It's psychological. It's about the message embedded in the money. It's about the value placed on a human life. However, and this is a crucial however, to label this only as an insult is to perhaps overlook the complex and painful arithmetic of survival at the bottom of the economic ladder. The reality is never simply black and white. Still, in the middle of the outrage, there are those who see things differently, or more accurately, who experience it differently out of sheer necessity. For some, even 10 Rand can, in a very literal sense, make a difference. It can be the difference that allows for a short taxi ride to the clinic to fetch medication. It can buy a small pack of salt that means a pot of pap has flavor. It can provide a few minutes of precious phone airtime to reach a family member who might be able to help later in the month. In the meticulous, penny-pinching budget of a grant-dependent household, 10 Rand is not nothing. It is a resource to be factored in. It's not enough, but it's something. And perhaps that's the hardest part of this entire debate, that so many South Africans have been conditioned by circumstance to be grateful for something, when by every measure of a just society, they deserve so much more. So, where does this leave us? The optimists, and they are few in this context, might argue that any increase, however small, is a step, that it could be a placeholder, a mere technical adjustment until the next big budgetary review, or a sign that the system, however creakily, is still moving forward. They might point to the scale of the system and argue that, in a perfect storm of economic challenges, maintaining the grants at all is an achievement. But let's be honest, even that thin strand of hope feels like it's fraying these days. When the cost of a basic food basket is leaping forward in 100 Rand increments, a 10 Rand increase isn't a step forward, it's a dramatic step backward in real purchasing power. The question now, the one that hangs over every grant recipient as they receive their slightly higher payment this month is, what happens next? Will the government be forced to adjust grants more substantially in the 2026 budget to meet the harsh reality of inflation? Or will this 10 Rand mark another year of mere survival instead of meaningful progress? Will it be remembered as the moment the state acknowledged its limitations or the moment it revealed its indifference? The answer isn't only in the halls of government in Pretoria. Beneficiaries and citizens can make their voices heard through community advocacy, through organized petitions, through voting, and by sharing their raw, unfiltered stories like the ones we've seen today. Because while numbers on a spreadsheet don't often move policymakers, the stories of people, their pain, their dignity, and their struggle, those have power. So we return to the question that started it all, the question that is as much about economics as it is about empathy, as much about budgets as it is about basic human respect. Is this 10 Rand an insult or a lifeline? The truth is, it might be both. It might be a systemic insult and an individual desperate lifeline all at the same time. And that contradiction is the real tragedy of the situation. We want to hear from you. Tell us what you think in the comments below. Do you see the 10 Rand as a vital, if small addition, or do you see it as a symbol of a broken system? Share your perspective. And if you want to stay updated on SASSA payment dates, grant increases, and the policy changes that affect millions, make sure to like this video, comment with your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. Your voice matters, And understanding these issues is the first step towards change. Thank you for watching. Till next time, bye.